day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. Night, afternoon. Yep, it's afternoon. Sometimes I have to check. Some days go by slow. Some go by fast. Really depends upon the entertainment value, all right? All right, isn't that weird? Like, oh, it's live. It's live. Great way to ask though, Michelle. Michelle says, is it live or is it Memorex? For those of you who don't know, Memorex was a type of tape, the high-end quality tape, so that you could record your music off the radio. You'd have to call in and say, hey, can you play this song for me? Or you'd have to sit by the radio for hours waiting to hit that unpause button. And you got to do it right on time. You got to do it right on time or you're not going to get the whole song. So that's how we used to have to make mixtapes. And then if you had enough money, what you could do is record from one tape to another on the same system. Right. But like I always say, it's kind of like when you're on your days off, the day goes by, seems to go by a little bit quicker, right? Than let's say when you're at work. You know, one thing I don't like about work is when there's nothing to do. When there's nothing to do, right? Nothing worse than being bored at work. I know some people are like, oh, I'd rather be bored at work because I don't have to, but not me. I'd rather be doing something. Like office games, rolling around in chairs, maybe a little basketball. All right. So we're going to be doing tradition 4 today. Been getting into the Dragging the Line was that song. Dragging the line, dragging the line. It was a song. I'm pretty knowledgeable on my music as long as it isn't anything new. Anything before auto-tune, I know my stuff. But yeah. Like if they did a name that tune, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, I'd kill it. I would kill it. So, all right, let's do introductions. It's 1:11 on 313 right now. Hey, welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. Been weird lately. I've been talking to people that I didn't know that were watching these, and they're like, and thank you for doing those videos. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you were watching. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the remix. Yellow is a song by Coldplay. Claire Joyce bringing up the song Yellow, which is by Coldplay. And it was actually the very first song I learned how to play on the drums. Yeah. One of the very first songs I remember the first time I heard that song and I just got home from the bar and put on MTV. I don't know what it was about that song, but I just broke down, bawling my eyes out. And I still listen to a lot of Coldplay. I'm a big Coldplay fan. Now, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, Clara, but that is an assumption. But I have a feeling I'm right on that assumption. It's not even a presumption, and I usually presume before I assume, right? Never assume, always presume. All right. So if you'd like to follow along, we're going to be in the 12 by 12, page 146. Right. So tradition 4. Each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. We're going to look up the word autonomous. We got to know what that means. It's one of those $10 words that alcoholics have a fear of asking what it means. So we assume, and we can't assume, remember? Definition of autonomous.
Here's the definition of autonomous: of a country or region, having the freedom to govern itself or control its own affairs.
There we go. That's what we're talking about here. So having the freedom to govern itself or control its own affairs. Okay, so let's take that and reread it. Each group should be free to make their own decisions, except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. All right, I'll give you an example of that. With Grassroots, I don't really want to send the money to central office because I don't think that they're I don't think they're spending it correctly. There's no H&I. I think the money is going to a wrong place. And as a group, we're going to have to vote on that soon on where we're going to send our money. The group may vote different on that, and I'm going to have to be okay with that. All right. But as a group being autonomous, can we take that money and, let's say, give it to a sober living? No, we cannot. No, that would be supporting something that is outside the purview of AA. One of the ideas that I've come up with, and I put some messages out there so we can get into these events for free, is buying literature and books and stuff and going out into the public at events with a banner letting know people that we are there to answer any questions for them and then helping them get to the right place. We can spend our money doing that. Absolutely. As long as it applies to 12-step work, carrying the message is really what it needs to do. Right. All right. So autonomy is a $10 word, but now we know what it means, don't we? But in relation to us, it means very simply that every AA group can manage its affairs exactly as it pleases, except when AA as a whole is threatened. Comes now the same question raised in Tradition 1. Isn't such liberty foolishly dangerous? If you go to a meeting on the East Coast and then you go to a meeting on the West Coast, the feeling's going to be the same, but people are going to probably talk differently. See, AA is malleable, and that means it can conform. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to conform to the community. For me, that's kind of how I feel about it. I don't think autonomy would follow things like keeping certain kinds of people out or having all these rules and regulations that would affect AA as a whole. Yes, it would. Because if they went to my AA meet, or if they went to my home group and got a bad taste for it, well, then that's going to affect other groups because they're not going to go to those because we gave them a bad preconceived notion, right? So over the years, every conceivable deviation from our 12 steps and traditions has been tried. That was sure to be, since we are largely a band of ego-driven individualists, children of chaos. We have defiantly played with every brand of fire, only to emerge unharmed, and we think wiser. These very deviations create a vast process of trial and error, which under the grace of God has brought us to where we stand today. When the AA traditions were first published in 1946, we had become sure that an AA group could stand almost any amount of battering. We saw that the group, exactly like the individual, must eventually conform to whatever tested principles would guarantee survival. Hey, Amber, did you get a turkey? She went bowling. Did you get a turkey? That means, for anybody that doesn't know, that means that you got 3 strikes in a row. That's a turkey. Gobble, 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 gobble. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Bok, bok. So some of these balked. Bok. We had discovered that there was perfect safety in the process of trial and error. So confident of this, we had become the original statement of this had we become that the original statement of AA traditions carried this significant sentence. Any 2 or 3 alcoholics gathered together for sobriety may call themselves an AA group, provided that as a group they have no other affiliation. Right? Oh, you suck at bowling. I had to learn how to bowl. My grandma was a professional bowler. She was. She never really. She had trophies and stuff from state. She was never like on TV or anything. Pretty sure I got the lowest score both games out of 4. Yeah, it's all right. It's about having fun. I bowl like Fred Flintstone on my tippy toes. It's weird. So I don't like going bowling because people laugh at me. So there's just that oddness about Dion. So all right. So as long as we have no other affiliation, right? This meant, of course, that we have been given the courage to declare each group, each AA group, an individual entity strictly reliant on its own conscience as a guide to action. In charting this enormous expansion to freedom, we found it necessary to post only 2 storm signals. A group ought not do anything which would greatly injure AA as a whole, nor ought it affiliate itself with anything or anybody else. There will be real danger if we commence to call some groups wet, others dry, still others Republican or communist, and yet others Catholic or Protestant. The AA group would have to stick to its course or be hopelessly lost. Sobriety had to be its sole objective. In all other respects, there was a perfect freedom of will and action. Every group had the right to be wrong. So the fourth tradition is the group's 10th step. You have the right to be wrong. All right. Now, let's kind of use this. This is the Daily Trudge, right? Well, that kind of sounds like something affiliated, but it's just the name. It's just a name. There is no EIN. There's nothing business about it. It's just a name. It's not like it's registered somewhere or anything like that, right? So there's no real affiliation there. What's it affiliated to? Nothing. It's a standalone live that I do, right? So Dion can run his mouth when he wants to. All right. When AA was still young, lots of eager groups were forming in a town we'll call Middleton. A real crackerjack startup. The townspeople were as hot as firecrackers about it. Stargazing. The elders dreamed of innovations. They figured the town needed a great big alcoholic center, kind of pilot plant. AA groups could duplicate everywhere. They're trying it. It's being tried again right now. I'm telling you that. But we're not going to go there on this one. Beginning on the ground floor, there would be a club. In the second story, we would sober up drunks and hand them currency for their back debts. There's a bad, scary thing right there. The third deck would house an educational project, quite non-controversial, of course. In imagination, the gleaming center was to go up several stories more, but 3 would do for a start. So egotistical. This would take a lot of money, other people's money. Believe it or not, wealthy town folks bought the idea. Now let's think about tradition 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. So already we're on a wrong track here, right? What are we really going for? Look at how great we did. Look at all the good stuff we did, right? There were, though, a few conservative dissenters among the alcoholics. They wrote the AA Foundation, AA's headquarters in New York, wanting to know about this sort of streamlining. They understood that the elders, just to nail things down good, were about to apply to the foundation for charter. These few were disturbed and skeptical. All right. Now, what are we really trying to go after? And that's the real question. What are the intentions? What are the intentions? All right. Was the intention here to help more people, or was it because we're daydreaming? Sounds great, gets people excited, but really, is it something that's going to bring more people in? You know, could you see how easily this thing could be abused? I do. Yeah. All right. Of course, there was a promoter in the deal, a super promoter. By his eloquence, he allayed all fears, despite advice from the foundation that it could issue no charter and that ventures which mix in AA groups with medication and education had come to sticky ends elsewhere. So from the beginning, they refused to listen. You know, I tend to find that people that knock the traditions are usually people not getting what they want. Huh? Weird. That's what it is. It's fear that you're not going to get what you want the way that you want it. Question be, where's God in all this? What would the master do? Right? So they told him. They literally told him. It came to sticky ends elsewhere. Well, yeah, but we're not them. Oh, fuck, you ain't. You're an alcoholic and you got alcoholic thinking. You think just like I do, just because I came from somewhere different doesn't change that. Birds of a feather, my friends. All right. To make things safer. Why did it need to be safer? That's gotta ask these hard questions, man. I was just talking to my friend Christine, and they went and did it's like we went toward the Harmony, and they talked about all these great things that they're doing, and we were surprised, and I said, yeah, and they're going to do the detox, and she's like, why do you not like them? I'm like, because I've gotten several complaints that somebody called, had him and signed up for a bed. They can't show up 2 weeks later to go to treatment, but they did not let them in because they weren't drunk, and therefore they couldn't put them through their detox. And I know what they're trying to do. This person is Medicaid, and they're going to make a lot more money off the crisis services than they are the treatment. And I find that ethically wrong. I do. I find it, oh, you want help? Well, I'm sorry. You're not drunk. We can't help you. What if that person's addicted to fentanyl? You tell them that and they go out and kill themselves. Who's that on? Right? Can't have that. And I will not support it. And I brought up, hey, somebody like me needs to be there so we can ask these hard questions. You guys can't ask these hard questions because you got a job to lose. I do not. So I think I'm going to call Harmony. And I'm going to ask. I'm like, I want to go on a tour so that way I can ask in front of 20 people. We need an answer here. It is sad, Kathleen. It is. A lot of people in Colorado are worried. They're worried because there's no money for recovery services this year. To me, this is a good thing because recovery doesn't require money. It requires time and effort. If you're worried about the money, please get out. Get out. I hope you leave. I hope it scares you enough that you get out of the field because it's just making it harder for people like me and Christine who really want to help people. Right? Okay. So to make things safer, the promoter organized 3 corporations and became president of them all. Come on. This is what we would call risk. See, somebody's got to take risk because there's money involved. There's risk in everything that you do, mostly money, banking, things like that. Oh, man. We have had 4 people commit suicide in Lafayette Monday night group just in the past 2 years because of this. Ouch. I'm sorry, Clara. I wish there was something that I could do. I really do. I would do it too. I'm doing everything that I can in the position that I'm in. And, but I tell you now, it's often that I feel my own insignificance in all of this. Sometimes when I'm like, am I saving lives, God? Because That's what we need to do here. What's the value of a human life? How much Medicaid money do you need in order to help someone? I find that disgusting. I find it wrong. Yeah, absolutely you are, Clara. Absolutely you are. The thing is we need more than AA. We need the professionals' help. And when they make it difficult in order to get help, suicide is what happens. Maybe not even intentional suicide, but it does happen. So he became president of them all, and that doesn't sound very egotistical. They could have avoided this whole thing if they would have just listened to the people that have experienced it and went through it. Yeah. I'm tired of watching people reinvent the wheel. The wheel that we already have. We have a solution to this. And you went and created your own program because you didn't want to do the work. Well, then I find you to be an unhealed alcoholic doing two-stepping. And I'm more than happy to sit down with you and I will talk you under the table. I will. So, freshly painted, the new center shone. The warmth of it all spread through the town. Soon things began to hum. To ensure foolproof continuous operation, 61 rules and regulations were adopted. How many rules and regulations do you follow when you're at this point? Besides none. See, what they did is they created a requirement for help. And it's funny, Christine and I were just talking about this. A lot of sober, like being drunk when you show up. That's a requirement for help. That's making us jump through hoops. Right? But let's say you get a scholarship at a sober living and they demand that you owe them now. Owe them what? It is a scholarship. There's no owing. There's a lot of people that tell me, Dion, thank you. I appreciate you doing this. And I wish I could pay you back. And my reply to that is pay it forward. Give it to the next person. Go out and help another person. Get a better life. I'd be happy as horse shit for that. Did it get fixed?
You are good to go.
Awesome. Thank you. I love you. My car's fixed because my wife is awesome. Yay. So 61 rules and regulations were adopted. I'm going to go off on a little sidebar here. All right. Because I told you I'm having a hard time with a car. And I had a tow truck come. We were going to send it down to Honda. I was going to bitch them out and didn't. I was making a mountain out of a molehill. Battery just needed to be changed. Thank God for the people in our lives that step in like, okay, hold on a second, Dion. Right? And since I could remain open-minded and I'm not trying to control the world, it turned out exactly how it's supposed to. And now I have XM because my wife hooked up my XM. Right? See? Those are the benefits of not getting angry. Yeah. All right. But alas, the bright scene was not long in the darkening. Confusion replaced serenity. And there it is. If I am causing more confusion than harmony, I need to get out. Like with the car. I was causing more confusion than harmony. And somebody else needed to step in. Nothing wrong with that. All right. It was found that some drunks yearned for education but doubted if they were alcoholics. Well, if you doubted you were alcoholics, why are you at the Alcoholic Center taking money from the second floor? See, it's already being abused. Alcoholics and people in need will abuse things. It's just, it's what I would call forced. What would you call it? Where you're breaking the law, but you have to in order to survive. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a forced agenda. Imagine you're out in the streets with your kid. It's 10 degrees out. So you break into an abandoned house so your kid doesn't freeze to death. All right. If I ever saw somebody at the store and they were stealing formula for their baby, not only would I not say anything, I would distract security so they could get the fuck out of there. Yes, I would. Well, so, all right. It was found that some drunks, Frida, the personality defects of others could be cured with maybe a loan. I need drinking money. Some were club-minded, but it was just a question of taking care of the lonely heart. See, we've already hit on two things that you should not go for. Money and sex. That's what they're saying. That's reinforcing relationships between two people that are very unhealthy. And they're going to go back out and get drunk. And they may even die because of it. Sometimes the swarming applicants would go for all 3 floors. Some would start at the top and then come through to the bottom, becoming members. Others starting the club, pitched to binge, or hospitalized. Then graduated to education on the 3rd floor. All right. You know, we all there's what's the best way to put it? Alcoholics need structure and discipline. We need structure and discipline. We need guidance. There's no guidance in this. You know, in the beginning, we're not being told what to do, but we're being told what to do. We're following direction, and we need that direction. When we leave that direction up to a new person, but if it was me coming in and you left it up to me, I'd screw it all up. That's how I got there. My own self-will. But somebody wanted a gleaming thing so that they could put their fucking name on it and have their name in lights. And that was the only intention. Look how high I can jump. That's what I call that. Find it childish. Find it unserving. All right. Isn't it always fun to spend other people's money? It was a beehive of activity, all right. But unlike the beehive, it was confusion compounded. An AA group, as such, simply couldn't handle this sort of project. All too late, that was discovered. Then came the inevitable explosion. Something like that day, the boiler burst in Wombly's clapboard factory. A chill choke damp of fear of frustration fell over the group. You know, it's funny because when people read that paragraph, all they can really focus on is what's this boiler burst at Wombly's? It's made up. Imagine a boiler bursting in a clapboard factory. That's what they're trying to get to. Use your imagination. Focus on what's supposed to be focused on. In this case, it was confusion. But it was confusion compounded. Why? Because alcoholics take things to the extreme. Right? When that lifted, a wonderful thing happened. You know, I'm glad that they're saying that a wonderful thing happened, but it shouldn't have happened. Okay? I don't know if this is a true story or not, or if they're using an example. I'm gonna think it's kind of a true story. It's just a little too close. Well, Rule 62 came out, so, right? The head promoter wrote the foundation office. Wasn't that kind of him? He had said he wished he paid some attention to AA experience. Then he did something else that was to become an AA classic. You know, I'm glad they're not giving this person's name, because then they would have given him the satisfaction of doing all this. I'm not kidding. Nope. All right. Then he did something classic. It all went on a little card about golf score size. The cover read Middleton Group 1, Rule 62. Once the card was unfolded, a single pungent sentence leaped to the eye. Don't take yourself too damn seriously. Thus, it was that under Tradition 4, an AA group had exercised its right to be wrong. I can go with that one. It did exercise its right to be wrong. Right? But I see this happening a lot especially with Zoom meetings, paying the rent for club in-person meetings. Nope. It's a different meeting. It's a separate meeting. Kind of weird. I'm trying to figure out how we can keep that separated. I'm not going to go much more into that one. So, but they did exercise his right to be wrong. Now, the only way you can, the only way that you can be, that you can get to that is by admitting that you're wrong. Having the same damn chairperson at every single meeting. There's one for you. You shouldn't. I'm not going to go into that. Moreover, it performed a great service for Alcoholics Anonymous because they've been humbly willing to apply the lessons it learned. Awesome. That's awesome. I think that's cool. And I believe that. And I believe it because I believe people can change. Absolutely, I believe that. I changed. You changed. So these people could probably change too. I hope they learn their lesson. But I've noticed that there's a lot of people I'm hearing that are just refusing to listen to the experience of people that have been there before. They're refusing. Oh, well, I'm not you. I'm not that, I tell you, you can either learn from the experience of other people or you are doomed to repeat it. And it's going to be, and somebody even may have it said, hey, you go down that route. This is what's going to happen. That's what happened to me. Well, I'm not you. You're an alcoholic with the same type of mind. Yeah, we are. You're thinking exactly like I did. All right. It had picked itself up with a laugh and gone on to better things. Even the chief architect standing in the ruins of his dream could laugh at himself. And that is the very acme of humility. Another thing I'm thinking about on that is how long did it take to build it? And in no time, nobody did anything. This is what I would call the Abilene effect, or the Abilene something. I forget what it's. It's where a group of people come together and make a bad decision, even though other people's experiences have told them different. And they come together and they vote on a wrong decision because they want to be a part of. That's why you got to ask the hard questions, man. Ask the hard questions. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.